Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford, and I'm back with another short book review for you. This is the most recent book by best-selling novelist Peter Heller. His best-selling novel, The Dog Stars, from about 14 years ago, is being made into a film by Ridley Scott. It's going to be released in August of this year. If you know him from that work or from his other novels, for example, The Painter or The River, you might be expecting a novel that is set in the American West. He lives in Denver and mostly writes about Colorado and adjoining areas. And you might be expecting something with a fairly dark, fairly masculine set of characters. The Orchard really departs from that because this is told from a woman's perspective, reflecting on her childhood and also simultaneously on her present day situation. And she is a translator of Spanish poetry, and most of the novel reflects on her childhood with her mother, who was an award-winning and acclaimed translator of Chinese poetry. Now, the Chinese poetry in this book is by Peter himself. You never really get any Chinese, you only get the translation. He claims that he had it signed off on as being putatively realistic seeming by an actual specialist in actual Tang Dynasty Chinese poetry, which is kind of cool. But what makes this review kind of surprisingly relevant is the reflections in it on translating poetry, because of course one thing that I have done, how successfully depends on your personal taste, is translate a lot of Old Norse poetry, especially in the Poetic Edda. And Haley, the mother who's translating Chinese poetry and is so acclaimed, actually does not directly translate from the Chinese herself. She knows enough of the classical Chinese to review notes about it, but she's actually effectively taking more scholarly literal translations and rendering them as something more acceptable as English poetry. And I find myself sort of in the middle of those two things, where I am doing my own academic translation literally from the original, but also trying to make my poetry read as poetry to the modern audience rather than duplicating the style or structure of the original. Disclaimer, the author and I are friendly acquaintances, and he wrote a very nice note to me in this book, but reflections.